The Shia Arabic, Shah, or the Shiites ''Iits'' represent the second largest denomination of Islam. Adherents of Shia Islam are called Shias or the Shi'a as a collective or Shi'i individually. Shi'a is the short form of the historic phrase Shī'atu, meaning followers, faction, or party of Muhammad's son-in-law and cousin Ali, whom the Shia believe to be Muhammad's successor in the Caliphate. 12 Shia, Ithnā'ashariyyah, is the largest branch of Shia Islam, and the term Shia Muslim is often taken to refer to 12 by default. As of 2009, Shia Muslims constituted 10 to 13% of the world's Muslim population and 39% of the Middle East's entire population. Shi'i Islam is based on the Quran and the message of the Islamic prophet Muhammad attested in hadith recorded by the Shia, and certain books deemed sacred to the Shia, Nahj al-Balagha. Shia consider Ali to have been divinely appointed as the successor to Muhammad, and as the first Imam. In the centuries after the death of Muhammad, the Shia extended this Imami doctrine to Muhammad's family, the al-Bayt, the people of the house, and certain individuals among his descendants, known as Imams, who they believe possess special spiritual and political authority over the community, infallibility, and other quasi-divine traits. Although there are myriad Shi'i subsects, modern Shi'i Islam has been divided into three main groupings: 12 Ismailis and Zaidis. The word Shia, Arabic, Shah/Ia/, means follower and is the short form of the historic phrase Shī'atu, '/ʻAlī/, meaning followers of Ali, faction of Ali, or party of Ali. Shi'a and Shi'ism are forms used in English, while Shi'ite or Shiite, as well as Shia, refer to its adherents. The archaic and phonetically incorrect spelling Shia was notably used by Winston Churchill in a discussion of the religious mixture of modern-day Iraq. Shia Muslims believe that just as a prophet is appointed by God alone, only God has the prerogative to appoint the successor to his prophet. They believe God chose Ali to be Muhammad's, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, peace be upon him, successor, infallible, the first caliph, Khalifa, head of state, of Islam. Muhammad, before his death, designated Ali as his successor. Ali was Muhammad's, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, first cousin and closest living male relative as well as his son-in-law, having married Muhammad's, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, daughter Fatima. Ali would eventually become the fourth Muslim, Sunni, caliph. After the last pilgrimage, Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, ordered the gathering of Muslims at the Pond of Qum, and it was there that Shia Muslims believe Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, nominated Ali to be his successor. The hadith of the Pond of Qum was narrated on 18th of Dhu al-Hijjah of 10 in the Islamic calendar, March 10, 632 AD, at a place called Ghadir Qum, located near the city of Al-Hufa, Saudi Arabia. Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, there stated, "O people! Reflect on the Quran and comprehend its verses. Look into its clear verses and do not follow its ambiguous parts, for by Allah, none shall be able to explain to you its warnings and its mysteries, nor shall anyone clarify its interpretation, other than the one that I have grasped his hand, brought up beside myself, and lifted his arm, the one about whom I inform you that whomever I am his master, Mawla A, then Ali is his master, Mawla, and he is Ali ibn Abi Talib, my brother, the executor of my will, Wasiyi, whose appointment as your guardian and leader has been sent down to me from Allah, the mighty and the majestic." Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, from the farewell sermon. The word Mawla has many meanings as discussed in the book Patronate and Patronage in Early and Classical Islam by Monique Bernards, John Nawaz on page 25. Mawla may refer to a client, a patron, an agnate, brother, son, father's brother, father-brother's son, an affined kinsman, brother-in-law, son-in-law, a friend, a supporter, a follower, a drinking companion, a partner, a newly converted Muslim attached to a Muslim, and last but not least an ally. Most of these categories have legal implications. In Islamic times, the term Malawa mostly referred to Muslim freedmen and freed non-Arabs who attached themselves to Arabs upon their conversion to Islam. In these senses, Mawla is commonly translated as a client. The association of Malwa with non-Arabs and a low status imparted an increasingly pejorative connotation to it. Shia Muslims believe this to be Muhammad's, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, appointment of Ali as his successor. Ali's Caliphate. When Muhammad died in 632 CE, Ali and Muhammad's closest relatives made the funeral arrangements. While they were preparing his body, Abu Bakr, Umar, and Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah met with the leaders of Medina and elected Abu Bakr as caliph. Ali and his family accepted the appointment for the sake of unity in the early Muslim community. It was not until the murder of the third caliph, Uthman, in 657 CE that the Muslims in Medina in desperation invited Ali to become the fourth caliph as the last source, and he established his capital in Kufa in present-day Iraq. Ali's rule over the early Muslim community was often contested, and wars were waged against him. As a result, he had to struggle to maintain his power against the groups who betrayed him after giving allegiance to his succession, or those who wished to take his position. This dispute eventually led to the First Fitna, which was the first major civil war within the Islamic Caliphate. The Fitna began as a series of revolts fought against the first Imam, Ali ibn Abi Talib, caused by the assassination of his political predecessor, Uthman ibn Affan. While the rebels who accused Uthman of nepotism affirmed Ali's caliphhood, they later turned against him and fought him. Ali ruled from 656 CE to 661 CE, when he was assassinated while prostrating in prayer, sujud. Ali's main rival Muawiyah then claimed the caliphate. Hassan. Upon the death of Ali, his elder son Hassan became leader of the Muslims of Kufa, and after a series of skirmishes between the Kufa Muslims and the army of Muawiyah, Hassan agreed to cede the caliphate to Muawiyah and maintain peace among Muslims upon certain conditions. The enforced public cursing of Ali, e.g. during prayers, should be abandoned. Muawiyah should not use tax money for his own private needs. There should be peace, and followers of Hassan should be given security and their rights. Muawiyah will never adopt the title of Amir al-Mu'minin. Muawiyah will not nominate any successor. Hassan then retired to Medina, where in 50 he was poisoned by his wife Jayada bint al-Ashith ibn Qais, after being secretly contacted by Muawiyah, who wished to pass the caliphate to his own son Yazid and saw Hassan as an obstacle. Hussein. Hussein, Ali's younger son and brother to Hassan, initially resisted calls to lead the Muslims against Muawiyah and reclaim the caliphate. In 680 CE, Muawiyah died and passed the caliphate to his son Yazid. Yazid asked Hussein to swear allegiance, bay'ah, to him. Ali's faction, having expected the caliphate to return to Ali's line upon Muawiyah's death, saw this as a betrayal of the peace treaty, and so Hussein rejected this request for allegiance. There was a groundswell of support in Kufa for Hussein to return there and take his position as caliph and imam, so Hussein collected his family and followers in Medina and set off for Kufa. En route to Kufa, he was blocked by an army of Yazid's men near Karbala, modern Iraq, and Hussein and approximately 72 of his family and followers were killed in the Battle of Karbala. The Shias regard Hussein as a martyr, shahid, and count him as an imam from the al-Bayt. They view Hussein as the defender of Islam from annihilation at the hands of Yazid. Hussein is the last imam following Ali, whom all Shia sub-branches mutually recognize. The Battle of Karbala is often cited as the definitive break between the Shia and Sunni sects of Islam, and is commemorated each year by Shia Muslims on the day of Ashura. Imamate of the al-Bayt. Most of the early Shia differed only marginally from mainstream Sunnis in their views on political leadership, but it is possible in this sect to see a refinement of Shia doctrine. Early Sunnis traditionally held that the political leader must come from the tribe of Muhammad, namely, the Quraysh tribe. The Zaidis narrowed the political claims of the Ali's supporters, claiming that not just any descendant of Ali would be eligible to lead the Muslim community, but only those males directly descended from Muhammad through the union of Ali and Fatima. But during the Abbasid revolts, other Shia, who came to be known as Imamiyya, followers of the Imams, followed the theological school of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, himself the great-great-grandson of the Prophet Muhammad's son-in-law Imam Ali. They asserted a more exalted religious role for Imams and insisted that, at any given time, whether in power or not, a single male descendant of Ali and Fatima was the divinely appointed Imam and the sole authority, in his time, on all matters of faith and law. To those Shia, love of the Imams and of their persecuted cause became as important as belief in God's oneness and the mission of Muhammad. Later most of the Shia, including Twelver and Ismaili, became Imamis. Imami Shia believe that Imams are the spiritual and political successors to Muhammad. 8 Imams are human individuals who not only rule over the community with justice, but also are able to keep and interpret the divine law in its esoteric meaning. The words and deeds of Muhammad and the Imams are a guide and model for the community to follow. As a result, they must be free from error and sin, and must be chosen by divine decree, or nas, through Muhammad. According to this view, there is always an Imam of the age, who is the divinely appointed authority on all matters of faith and law in the Muslim community. Ali was the first Imam of this line, the rightful successor to Muhammad, followed by male descendants of Muhammad through his daughter Fatima. This difference between following either the al-Bayt, Muhammad's family and descendants, or Caliph Abu Bakr has shaped Shia and non-Shia views on some of the Quranic verses, the hadith, narrations from Muhammad, and other areas of Islam. For instance, the collection of hadith venerated by Shia Muslims is centered on narrations by members of the al-Bayt and their supporters, while some hadith by narrators not belonging to or supporting the al-Bayt are not included. Those of Abu Hurairah, for example, Ibn Asakir in his Tariq Kabir and Mutakai in his Kanzu al-Umma report that Caliph Umar lashed him, rebuked him, and forbade him to narrate hadith from Muhammad. Umar said, "Because you narrate hadith in large numbers from the Holy Prophet, you are fit only for attributing lies to him. That is, one expects a wicked man like you to utter only lies about the Holy Prophet. So you must stop narrating hadith from the Prophet, otherwise, I will send you to the land of Dus, a clan in Yemen, to which Abu Hurairah belonged." According to Sunnis, Ali was the fourth successor to Abu Bakr, while the Shia maintain that Ali was the first divinely sanctioned Imam, or successor of Muhammad. The seminal event in Shia history is the martyrdom in 680 CE at the Battle of Karbala of Ali's son Hussein ibn Ali, who led a non-allegiance movement against the defiant caliph. 71 of Hussein's followers were killed as well. Hussein came to symbolize resistance to tyranny. It is believed in Twelver and Ismaili Shia Islam that ʻAlī, divine wisdom, was the source of the souls of the prophets and Imams and gave them esoteric knowledge called ḥikmah, and that their sufferings were a means of divine grace to their devotees. Although the Imam was not the recipient of a divine revelation, he had a close relationship with God, through which God guides him, and the Imam in turn guides the people. Imamate, or belief in the divine guide, is a fundamental belief in the Twelver and Ismaili Shia branches and is based on the concept that God would not leave humanity without access to divine guidance. The Mahdi is the prophesied Redeemer of Islam who will rule for 7, 9, or 19 years, according to differing interpretations, before the Day of Judgment and will rid the world of evil. According to Islamic tradition, the Mahdi's tenure will coincide with the second coming of Jesus Christ, Isa, who is to assist the Mahdi against the Masih ad-Dajjal, literally, the false Messiah or Antichrist. Jesus, who is considered the Masih, Messiah, in Islam, will descend at the point of a white arcade, east of Damascus, dressed in yellow robes with his head anointed. He will then join the Mahdi in his war against the Dajjal, where Jesus will slay Dajjal and unite mankind. Theology. The Shia Islamic faith is vast and inclusive of many different groups. Shia theological beliefs and religious practices, such as prayers, slightly differ from the Sunnis. While all Muslims pray 5 times daily, Shias have the option of always combining Dhuhr with Asr and Maghrib with Isha, as there are 3 distinct times mentioned in the Quran. The Sunnis tend to combine only under certain circumstances. Shia Islam embodies a completely independent system of religious interpretation and political authority in the Muslim world. The original Shia identity referred to the followers of Imam Ali, and Shia theology was formulated in the 2nd century AH, or after Hijra, 8th century CE. The first Shia governments and societies were established by the end of the 3rd century AH/9th century CE. The 4th century AH/10th century CE has been referred to by Louis Messiaen as the Shiite Ismaili century in the history of Islam. Hadith. The Shia believe that the status of Ali is supported by numerous hadith, including the hadith of the pond of cum, hadith of the 2 weighty things, hadith of the pen and paper, hadith of the invitation of the close families, and hadith of the 12 successors. In particular, the hadith of the cloak is often quoted to illustrate Muhammad's feeling towards Ali and his family by both Sunni and Shia scholars. Shias prefer hadith attributed to the al-Bayt and close associates, and have their own separate collection of hadiths. Profession of faith. The Shia version of the Shahada, the Islamic profession of faith, differs from that of the Sunni. The Sunni Shahada states there is no God except God, Muhammad is the messenger of the God, but to this the Shia append Ali is the wali, friend or intimate associate, of God. This phrase embodies the Shia emphasis on the inheritance of authority through Muhammad's lineage. The 3 clauses of the Shia Shahada thus address Tawhid, the unity of God, Nubuwwah, the prophethood of Muhammad, and Imama, Imamate, the leadership of the faith. Infallibility. Ali is credited as the first male to convert to Islam. Isma is the concept of infallibility or divinely bestowed freedom from error and sin in Islam. Muslims believe that Muhammad and other prophets in Islam possessed Isma. Twelver and Ismaili Shia Muslims also attribute the quality to Imams as well as to Fatima, daughter of Muhammad, in contrast to the Zaidi, who do not attribute Isma to the Imams. Though initially beginning as a political movement, infallibility and sinlessness of the Imams later evolved as a distinct belief of non-Zaidi, Shi'ism. According to Shia theologians, infallibility is considered a rational necessary precondition for spiritual and religious guidance. They argue that since God has commanded absolute obedience from these figures, they must only order that which is right. The state of infallibility is based on the Shia interpretation of the verse of purification. Thus, they are the most pure ones, the only immaculate ones preserved from, and immune to, all uncleanness. It does not mean that supernatural powers prevent them from committing a sin, but due to the fact that they have absolute belief in God, they refrain from doing anything that is a sin. They also have a complete knowledge of God's will. They are in possession of all knowledge brought by the angels to the prophets, Nabi, and the messengers, Rasul. Their knowledge encompasses the totality of all times. They thus act without fault in religious matters. Shias regard Ali as the successor of Muhammad, not only ruling over the community in justice, but also interpreting Islamic practices and its esoteric meaning. Hence he was regarded as being free from error and sin, infallible, and appointed by God by divine decree, Nas, to be the first Imam. Ali is known as perfect man, al-Insan al-Kamil, similar to Muhammad, according to Shia viewpoint. Occultation. The occultation is a belief in some forms of Shia Islam that a messianic figure, a hidden Imam known as the Mahdi, will one day return alongside Jesus citation needed and fill the world with justice. According to the 12er Shia, the main goal of the Mahdi will be to establish an Islamic state and to apply Islamic laws that were revealed to Muhammad. Some Shia, such as the Zaidi and Nizari Ismaili, do not believe in the idea of the occultation. The groups which do believe in it differ as to which lineage of the imamate is valid, and therefore which individual has gone into occultation. They believe there are many signs that will indicate the time of his return. 12er Shia Muslims believe that the Mahdi, the 12th Imam, Muhammad al-Mahdi, is already on earth, is in occultation and will return at the end of time. Fatimid/Bara/Dawoodi Bara believe the same but for their 21st Tayyib. Whereas Sunnis believe the future Mahdi has not yet arrived on earth. History. Historians dispute the origin of Shia Islam, with many Western scholars positing that Shi'ism began as a political faction rather than a truly religious movement. However, other scholars disagree, considering this concept of religious political separation to be an anachronistic application of a Western concept. Following the Battle of Karbala, as various Shia-affiliated groups diffused in the emerging Islamic world, several nations arose based around a Shia leadership or population. Idrisids, 788 to 985 CE, a Zaidi dynasty in what is now Morocco. Uqaylids, 990 to 1096 CE, a Shi'a Arab dynasty with several lines that ruled in various parts of Al Jazeera, northern Syria, and Iraq. Buyids, 934–1055 CE, at its peak consisted of large portions of modern Iraq and Iran. Ilkhanate, 1256–1335, a Mongol Khanate established in Persia in the 13th century, considered a part of the Mongol Empire. The Ilkhanate was based, originally, on Genghis Khan's campaigns in the Khwarezmid Empire in 1219–1224, and founded by Genghis's grandson, Hulagu, in territories which today comprise most of Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, Turkmenistan, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Georgia, Turkey, and Pakistan. The Ilkhanate initially embraced many religions, but was particularly sympathetic to Buddhism and Christianity. Later Ilkhanate rulers, beginning with Ghazan in 1295, embraced Islam. His brother Al-Jayto promoted Shia Islam. Bahmanis, 1347–1527 CE, a Shia Muslim state of the Deccan in southern India and one of the great medieval Indian kingdoms. Bahmanid Sultanate was the first independent Islamic kingdom in South India. Fatimid Caliphate. Fatimids, 909–1171 CE, controlled much of North Africa, the Levant, parts of Arabia and Mecca and Medina. The group takes its name from Fatima, Muhammad's daughter, from whom they claim descent. A major turning point in Shia history was the Safavid dynasty, 1501–1736, in Persia. This caused a number of changes in the Muslim world. The ending of the relative mutual tolerance between Sunnis and Shias that existed from the time of the Mongol conquests onwards, and the resurgence of antagonism between the two groups. Initial dependence of Shiite clerics on the state, followed by the emergence of an independent body of ulama capable of taking a political stand different from official policies. The growth in importance of Iranian centers of religious learning and change from Twelver Shi'aism being a predominantly Arab phenomenon. The growth of the Akbari school, which preached that only the Quran, hadith are to be bases for verdicts, rejecting the use of reasoning. Shah Ismail I also proclaimed himself the Mahdi and a reincarnation of Ali. With the fall of the Safavids, the state in Persia, including the state system of courts with government-appointed judges, qadis, became much weaker. This gave the Sharia courts of mujtahids an opportunity to fill the legal vacuum and enabled the ulama to assert their judicial authority. The Usuli school also increased in strength at this time. One of the lingering problems in estimating the Shia population is that unless the Shia form a significant minority in a Muslim country, the entire population is often listed as Sunni. Shiites are estimated to be 21–35% of the Muslim population in South Asia, although the total number is difficult to estimate due to that reason. It is variously estimated that 10–20% of the world's Muslims are Shia. They may number up to 200 million as of 2009. The Shia majority countries are Iran, Iraq, and Azerbaijan. They also constitute 36.3% of entire local population and 38.6% of the local Muslim population of the Middle East. Shia Muslims constitute 45% of the population in Lebanon, and as per some estimates from 35% to over 35 to 40% of the population in Yemen, 30–35% of the citizen population in Kuwait. No figures exist for the non-citizen population, over 20% in Turkey, 10–20% of the population in Pakistan, and 10–19% of Afghanistan's population. Saudi Arabia hosts a number of distinct Shia communities, including the Twelver Baharna in the eastern province and Nakhala of Medina, and the Ismaili Sulaimani and Zaidiyya of Najran. Estimations put the number of Shiite citizens at 2 to 4 million, accounting for roughly 15% of the local population. Significant Shia communities exist in the coastal regions of West Sumatra and Aceh in Indonesia, Sitabek. The Shia presence is negligible elsewhere in Southeast Asia, where Muslims are predominantly Shafi'i Sunnis. A significant Shia minority is present in Nigeria, made up of modern-era converts to a Shia movement centered around Kano and Sokoto states. Several African countries like Kenya, South Africa, Somalia, etc. hold small minority populations of various Shia denominations, primarily descendants of immigrants from South Asia during the colonial period, such as the Khoja. According to Shia Muslims, one of the lingering problems in estimating Shia population is that unless Shia form a significant minority in a Muslim country, the entire population is often listed as Sunni. The reverse, however, has not held true, which may contribute to imprecise estimates of the size of each sect. For example, the 1926 rise of the House of Saud in Arabia brought official discrimination against Shia. The history of Sunni-Shia relations has often involved violence, dating back to the earliest development of the two competing sects. At various times Shia groups have faced persecution. Militarily established and holding control over the Umayyad government, many Sunni rulers perceived the Shia as a threat both to their political and religious authority. The Sunni rulers under the Umayyads sought to marginalize the Shia minority, and later the Abbasids turned on their Shia allies and imprisoned, persecuted, and killed them. The persecution of the Shia throughout history by Sunni co-religionists has often been characterized by brutal and genocidal acts. Comprising only about 10–15% of the entire Muslim population, the Shia remain a marginalized community to this day in many Sunni Arab-dominant countries without the rights to practice their religion and organize. In 1514 the Ottoman Sultan, Selim I, ordered the massacre of 40,000 Anatolian Shia. According to Jalal Ali Ahmad, Sultan Selim I carried things so far that he announced that the killing of one Shiite had as much otherworldly reward as killing 70 Christians. In 1801 the al-Saud Wahhabi armies attacked and sacked Karbala, the Shia shrine in eastern Iraq that commemorates the death of Hussein. Under Saddam Hussein's regime, 1973–2003, in Iraq, Shia Muslims were heavily persecuted. In March 2011, the Malaysian government declared the Shia a deviant sect and banned them from promoting their faith to other Muslims, but left them free to practice it themselves privately. Holidays. Shia celebrate the following annual holidays. Eid al-Fitr, which marks the end of fasting during the month of Ramadan. Eid al-Adha, which marks the end of the Hajj or pilgrimage to Mecca. The following days are some of the most important holidays observed by Shia Muslims. Eid al-Ghadir, which is the anniversary of the Ghadir Qum, the occasion when Muhammad announced Ali's imamate before a multitude of Muslims. Eid al-Ghadir is held on the 18th of Dhu al-Hijjah. The morning of Muharram and the day of Ashura for Shia commemorates Hussein ibn Ali's martyrdom. Hussein was a grandson of Muhammad who was killed by Yazid ibn Muawiyah. Ashura is a day of deep mourning which occurs on the 10th of Muharram. Arba'in commemorates the suffering of the women and children of Hussein ibn Ali's household. After Hussein was killed, they were marched over the desert, from Karbala, central Iraq, to Sham, Damascus, Syria. Many children, some of whom were direct descendants of Muhammad, died of thirst and exposure along the route. Arba'in occurs on the 20th of Safar, 40 days after Ashura. Mawlid, Muhammad's birth date. Unlike Sunni Muslims, who celebrate the 12th of Rabi al-Awwal as Muhammad's birthday or death day, because they assert that his birth and death both occur in this week, Shia Muslims celebrate Muhammad's birthday on the 17th of the month, which coincides with the birth date of the 6th Imam, Ja'far al-Sadiq. Note that Wahhabis do not celebrate Muhammad's birthday, believing that such celebrations constitute a bid'ah, despite this day being celebrated for centuries among Muslims of all creeds. Fatima's birthday on 20th of Jamada al-Thani. This day is also considered as the Women and Mothers' Day. Ali's birthday on 13th of Rajab. Mid-Shaban is the birth date of the 12th and final 12er Imam, Muhammad al-Mahdi. It is celebrated by Shia Muslims on the 15th of Sha'ban. Laylat al-Qadr, anniversary of the night of the revelation of the Quran. Eid al-Mubahila celebrates a meeting between the al-Bayt, household of Muhammad, and a Christian deputation from Najran. Al-Mubahila is held on the 24th of Dhu al-Hijjah. Holy sites. The holiest sites common to all Muslims are Mecca, Medina, and Jerusalem. For Shias, the Imam Hussein Shrine, Al-Abbas Mosque in Karbala, and Imam Ali Mosque in Najaf are also highly revered. Other venerated sites include Wadi As-Salam Cemetery in Najaf, Al-Baqi Cemetery in Medina, Imam Reza Shrine in Mashhad, Qadhamiyya Mosque in Qadhamiyya, Al-Askari Mosque in Samara, Salah Mosque, and Great Mosque of Kufa in Kufa, and several other sites in the cities of Qom, Susa and Damascus. Most of the Shia holy places in Saudi Arabia have been destroyed by the warriors of the Ikhwan, the most notable being the tombs of the Imams in the Al-Baqi Cemetery in 1925. In 2006 a bomb destroyed the shrine of Al-Askari Mosque. Branches. The Shia belief throughout its history split over the issue of the Imamate. The largest branch are the Twelvers, followed by the Zaidi and Ismaili. All three groups follow a different line of Imamate. Twelver Shia or the Ithnā'ashariyyah is the largest branch of Shia Islam, and the term Shia Muslim often refers to the Twelvers by default. The term Twelver is derived from the doctrine of believing in 12 divinely ordained leaders, known as the 12 Imams. Twelver Shia are also known as Imami or Ja'afari, originated from the name of the sixth Imam, Ja'afar al-Sadiq, who elaborated the Twelver jurisprudence. Twelvers constitute the majority of the population in Iran, 90%, Azerbaijan, 85%, Bahrain, 70%, Iraq, 65%, Lebanon, 65% of Muslims. Twelver doctrine is based on 5 principles. These 5 principles, known as Usul ad-Din, are as follow. Monotheism, God is one and unique. Justice, the concept of moral rightness based on ethics, fairness, and equity, along with the punishment of the breach of said ethics. Prophethood, the institution by which God sends emissaries, or prophets, to guide mankind. Leadership, a divine institution which succeeded the institution of prophethood. Its appointees, Imams, are divinely appointed. Last judgment, God's final assessment of humanity. More specifically, these principles are known as Usul al-Madhab, principles of the Shia sect, according to Twelver Shias, which differ from Daruriyat al-Din, necessities of religion, which are principles in order for one to be a Muslim. The necessities of religion do not include leadership, imama, as it is not a requirement in order for one to be recognized as a Muslim. However, this category, according to Twelver scholars like Ayatollah al-Khoi, does include belief in God, prophethood, the day of resurrection, and other necessities, like belief in angels. In this regard, Twelver Shias draw a distinction in terms of believing in the main principles of Islam on the one hand, and specifically Shia doctrines like Imama on the other. Books. Besides the Quran, which is common to all Muslims, the Shia derive guidance from books of traditions, attributed to Muhammad and the 12 Imams. Below is a list of some of the most prominent of these books. Nahj al-Balagha by Ali ibn Abi Talib, the most famous collection of sermons, letters and narration by first Imam regarded by Shias. Al-Kafi by Muhammad ibn Yaqub al-Kulaini. Wasa'il al-Shia by al-Hur al-Amili. The 12 Imams. See also, the 12 Imams and Sunni reports about there being 12 successors to the Prophet. The 12 Imams are the spiritual and political successors to Muhammad for the 12ers. According to the theology of 12ers, the successor of Muhammad is an infallible human individual who not only rules over the community with justice but also is able to keep and interpret the divine law in its esoteric meaning. The words and deeds of Muhammad and the Imams are a guide and model for the community to follow. As a result, they must be free from error and sin, and Imams must be chosen by divine decree, or nas, through Muhammad. Each Imam was the son of the previous Imam, with the exception of Hussein ibn Ali, who was the brother of Hassan ibn Ali. The 12th and final Imam is Muhammad al-Mahdi, who is believed by the Twelvers to be currently alive and in occultation. Jurisprudence. The Twelver jurisprudence is called Ja'afari jurisprudence. In this jurisprudence, Sunnah is considered to be the oral traditions of Muhammad and their implementation and interpretation by the 12 Imams. There are 3 schools of Ja'afari jurisprudence: Usuli, Akbari, and Shaykhi. The Usuli school is by far the largest of the 3. 12er groups that do not follow Ja'afari jurisprudence include Alavi, Batashi, and Qizilbash. In Ja'afari jurisprudence, there are 10 ancillary pillars, known as Furu ad-Din, which are as follows: prayer, fasting, pilgrimage, almsgiving, struggle, 1/5, 20% tax on yearly earnings after deduction of household and commercial expenses, directing others towards good, directing others away from evil, love those who are in God's path, disassociation with those who oppose God. According to 12 defining and interpretation of Islamic jurisprudence is the responsibility of Muhammad and the 12 Imams. As the 12th Imam is in occultation, it is the duty of clerics to refer to the Islamic literature such as the Quran and Hadith and identify legal decisions within the confines of Islamic law to provide means to deal with current issues from an Islamic perspective. In other words, 12 clerics provide guardianship of the Islamic jurisprudence, which was defined by Muhammad and his 12 successors. This process is known as ijtihad and the clerics are known as marja, meaning reference. The labels alama and ayatollah are in use for 12 clerics. Zaidiyya, Zaidism, or Zaidi is the second largest branch of Shia Islam. It is a Shia school named after Zayd ibn Ali. Followers of the Zaidi fiqh are called Zaidis, or occasionally Fivers. However, there is also a group called Zaidi Wasts who are 12ers, see below. Zaidis constitute roughly 40–45% of the population of Yemen. Doctrine. The Zaydis, 12ers and Ismailis recognize the same first 4 Imams, however, the Zaidis recognize Zayd ibn Ali as the 5th. After the time of Zayd ibn Ali, the Zaidis recognized that any descendant of Hassan ibn Ali or Hussein ibn Ali could be Imam after fulfilling certain conditions. 160 other well-known Zaidi Imams in history were Yahya ibn Zayd, Muhammad al-Nafs al-Zakiyya and Ibrahim ibn Abdullah. In matters of Islamic jurisprudence, the Zaydis follow Zayd ibn Ali's teachings, which are documented in his book Majmu al-Fiqh, in Arabic. Al-Hadi ila el-Haqq Yahya, founder of the Zaidi state in Yemen, instituted elements of the jurisprudential tradition of the Sunni Muslim jurist of Anfa, and as a result, Zaidi jurisprudence today continues somewhat parallel to that of the Hanafi citation needed. The Zaidi doctrine of Imamah does not presuppose the infallibility of the Imam nor that the Imams receive divine guidance. Zaidis also do not believe that the imamate must pass from father to son, but believe it can be held by any Sayyid descended from either Hassan ibn Ali or Hussein ibn Ali, as was the case after the death of Hassan ibn Ali. Historically, Zaidis held that Zayd was the rightful successor of the 4th Imam since he led a rebellion against the Umayyads in protest of their tyranny and corruption. Muhammad al-Baqir did not engage in political action, and the followers of Zayd believed that a true Imam must fight against corrupt rulers. Citation needed. Timeline. The Idrisids, Arabic, were Arab Zaydi Shia dynasty in the western Maghreb ruling from 788 to 985 CE, named after its first sultan, Idris I. A Zaydi state was established in Gilan, Delaman and Tabaristan, northern Iran, in 864 CE by the Alavids. It lasted until the death of its leader at the hand of the Samanids in 928 CE. Roughly 40 years later the state was revived in Gilan and survived under Hassanid leaders until 1126 CE. Afterwards, from the 12th to 13th centuries, the Zaydis of Delaman, Gilan and Tabaristan then acknowledged the Zaydi Imams of Yemen or rival Zaydi Imams within Iran. The Buyids were initially, as well as the Banu Uqaydir rulers of al-Yamamah in the 9th and 10th centuries. The leader of the Zaydi community took the title of Caliph. As such, the ruler of Yemen was known as the Caliph, al-Hadi Yahya bin al-Husayn bin al-Qasim ar-Rasi Rasids, a descendant of Hassan ibn Ali the son of Ali, who, at Sada, in 893–7 CE, founded the Zaydi Imamate, and this system continued until the middle of the 20th century, when the revolution of 1962 CE deposed the Zaydi Imam. The founding Zaydism of Yemen was of the Yaridiyya group, however, with increasing interaction with Hanafi and Shafi'ites of Sunni Islam, there was a shift from the Yaridiyya group to the Sulaimaniyya, Tabariyya, Batriyya, or Salihiyya groups. 172 Zaydis form the second dominant religious group in Yemen. Currently, they constitute about 40–45% of the population in Yemen. Ja'faris and Ismailis are 2–5%. In Saudi Arabia, it is estimated that there are over 1 million Zaydis, primarily in the western provinces. Citation needed. Currently the most prominent Zaydi movement is Houthis movement, known by the name of Shabab al-Mu'minin, believing youth. They have been the subject of an ongoing campaign against them by the Yemeni government, in which the army has lost 743 men, and thousands of innocent civilians have been killed or displaced by government forces, causing a grave humanitarian crisis in North Yemen. Ismaili, Sevener. Ismailis gain their name from their acceptance of Ismail ibn Jafar as the divinely appointed spiritual successor, Imam, to Ja'far al-Sadiq, wherein they differ from the Twelvers, who accept Musa al-Qadhim, younger brother of Ismail, as the true Imam. After the death or occultation of Muhammad ibn Ismail in the 8th century, the teachings of Ismailism further transformed into the belief system as it is known today, with an explicit concentration on the deeper, esoteric meaning, of the faith. With the eventual development of Twelverism into the more literalistic, Zahir-oriented Akhbari and later Usuli schools of thought, Shi'aism developed in two separate directions: the metaphorical Ismaili group focusing on the mystical path and nature of God and the divine manifestation in the personage of the Imam of the time as the face of God, with the more literalistic Twelver group focusing on divine law, Shari'ah, and the deeds and sayings, Sunnah, of Muhammad and his successors, the al-Bayt, who as A'imma were guides and a light to God. Though there are several subgroupings within the Ismailis, the term in today's vernacular generally refers to the Shia Imami Ismaili Muslim, Nizari community, generally known as the Ismailis, who are followers of the Agha Khan and the largest group among the Ismailiyah. Another community which falls under the Ismails are the Dawoodi Baras, led by a Da'i al-Mutlaq as representative of a hidden Imam. While there are many other branches with extremely differing exterior practices, much of the spiritual theology has remained the same since the days of the faith's early Imams. In recent centuries, Ismailis have largely been an Indo-Iranian community, but they are found in India, Pakistan, Syria, Palestine, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, China, Jordan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Afghanistan, East Africa, and South Africa, and have in recent years emigrated to Europe, Australia, New Zealand, and North America. Ismaili Imams. After the death of Ismail ibn Jafar, many Ismailis believed that one day the Messianic Mahdi, whom they believed to be Muhammad ibn Ismail, would return and establish an age of justice. One group included the violent Qarmashans, who had a stronghold in Bahrain. In contrast, some Ismailis believed the Imamate did continue, and that the Imams were in occultation and still communicated and taught their followers through a network of Dawah missionaries. In 909, Ubayd Allah al-Mahdi Billah, a claimant to the Ismaili Imamate, established the Fatimid Caliphate. During this period, three lineages of Imams formed. The first branch, known today as the Druze, began with al-Hakim by Amr Allah. Born in 386 AH, 985, he ascended as ruler at the age of 11. The typical religiously tolerant Fatimid Empire saw much persecution under his reign. When in 411 AH, 1021, his mule returned without him, soaked in blood, a religious group that was forming in his lifetime broke off from mainstream Ismailism and did not acknowledge his successor. Later to be known as the Druze, they believe al-Hakim to be the incarnation of God and the prophesied Mahdi who would one day return and bring justice to the world. The faith further split from Ismailism as it developed very unusual doctrines which often class it separately from both Ismailiyah and Islam. The second split occurred following the death of Ma'ad al-Mustansir Billah in 487 AH, 1094. His rule was the longest of any caliph in any Islamic empire. Upon his passing away, his sons, Nizar the older, and al-Mustali, the younger, fought for political and spiritual control of the dynasty. Nizar was defeated and jailed, but according to Nizari tradition, his son escaped to Alamut, where the Iranian Ismaili had accepted his claim. From here on, the Nizari Ismaili community has continued with a present, living Imam. The Mustali line split again between the Tayyibi, Dawoodi Bara is its main branch, and the Hafizi. The former claim that At-Tayyib Abi al-Qasim, son of al-Amir Bayami al-Law, and the Imams following him went into a period of anonymity, Dori Sajr, and appointed a Da'i al-Mutlaq to guide the community, in a similar manner as the Ismaili had lived after the death of Muhammad ibn Ismail. The latter, Hafizi, claimed that the ruling Fatimid Caliph was the Imam, and they died out with the fall of the Fatimid Empire. Pillars. Ismailis have categorized their practices which are known as 7 pillars. Walaya, guardianship. Tahara, purity. Salat, prayer. Zakt, charity. Sawm, fasting. Hajj, pilgrimage. Jihad, struggle. The Shahada, profession of faith, of the Shia differs from that of Sunnis due to mention of Ali. Contemporary leadership. The Nizaris place importance on a scholarly institution because of the existence of a present Imam. The Imam of the age defines the jurisprudence, and his guidance may differ with Imams previous to him because of different times and circumstances. For Nizari Ismailis, the Imam is Karim al-Husseini Aga Khan IV. The Nizari line of Imams has continued to this day as an unending line. Divine leadership has continued in the Bara branch through the institution of the unrestricted missionary Dai. According to Bara tradition, before the last Imam, At-Tayyib Abi al-Qasim, went into seclusion, his father, the 20th al-Amir Bayami al-Law, had instructed al-Hura al-Malika the Malika, queen consort, in Yemen to appoint a vicegerent after the seclusion, the unrestricted missionary, who as the Imam's vicegerent has full authority to govern the community in all matters both spiritual and temporal, while the lineage of Mustali Tayyibi Imams remains in seclusion, Dori Sitr. The 3 branches of the Mustali, the Alavi Bara, Sula Imani Bara, and Dawoodi Bara, differ on who the current unrestricted missionary is.